Juice play right there.
Splits the defender out front, drives inside. Joe the rebound.
Yeah, Jazz forward Joe Ingles, he said in his podcast earlier that it feels like they've already been in the offseason. Well, it's time to dust off those sneakers, Joe, because the NBA has approved its plan that will allow the season to resume more than 4 months after the coronavirus put a halt on basketball and the entire sporting world for that matter. The approved plan is for 22 teams to resume playing games on July 31st. Players from the 22 teams, the top 8 in each conference, plus the next 6 total teams that are within 6 games of the 8th seed, they will report to team facilities for training camp on June 30th. Then those 22 teams will head to Orlando on July 7th to continue training and go through coronavirus screenings and testings leading up to the resumption of play on the 31st. There will be 8 regular season games played per team over a 2-week period. The top 8 from each conference will advance to the playoffs. Now, if the 9th team is within 4 games of that 8th spot, then the 8th and 9th teams will play to earn the 8th seed. Game 7 of the NBA Finals would be no later than October 12th. So here we go, JJ. We've been waiting for it. Now we know it's coming back finally.
Sam, I love it. I think the NBA really got this right. I'm impressed that they were able to pull it off, and I have to give credit to Adam Silver to make this happen. And really quickly, when you think about it, with being able to get everything in order, being able to nail down Orlando as a site, to have all this work out, to have testing in place, all these things that had to come together for us to have basketball again on July 31st, I don't think you could ask for a better plan. And the fact that he got the Board of Governors and the players to agree on something in such a short period of time was pretty impressive.
Yeah, no doubt. It's very well planned, very well prepared. It had to happen now, really. It couldn't have waited much longer, right? The NBA here, Jeremiah, is setting the standard for sports as we see other leagues, notably the Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I know what league you're talking about.
Yeah, really struggling to try to get a plan together. But the NBA, as you mentioned, Commissioner Silver, they've really put together a solid plan.
Yeah, you see what MLB has done, and you really have to applaud the NBA. This is not official yet. The schedule's not official, but this is what we know. The remainder of the regular season will last 16 days with 5 to 6 games played per day at 3 different facilities in Orlando. I think it'll feel like Summer League. Playoff position will be determined by winning percentage and not one-loss record, since not all teams will have played the same number of games. I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, Jazz Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations, Dennis Lindsay, he issued a statement that said in part, quote, "While our society faces important issues that certainly eclipse basketball, the entire Jazz organization looks forward to getting back on the court and continuing its playoff push. While we regret not playing in front of our tremendous fans, we are grateful for their loyal support and know they will be behind us." That's interesting. He mentioned the fans because obviously, as we know, there won't be any down there.
Yeah, but you know what? It's interesting. How are the Jazz going to look now? Sam, I don't know who the Jazz were when we suspended play, so I'm really not sure what we're going to see from them when they come back. And Boyan's not going to be there. But just the fact that we're going to be able to get NBA basketball again and the Jazz are going to have a shot. What I like about the Jazz chances is we know that they can play defense. If they resort back to the way they used to play defense, I think they got a chance to make a run in this tournament.
Yeah, and you talked about how it's going to be based off of the winning percentages here for playoff positioning. I'm interested to see if there's going to be any strategic, I don't want to say throwing in the towel on games, but there is no home court advantage, right? So maybe you look ahead to what your potential playoff matchups will be. As of right now, the Jazz would be going up against Oklahoma City. I'm not saying they're going to try to lose or anything, but if they shuffled it around, a first and second round matchup could be completely different without the worry of a home court advantage in the playoffs.
I think you're onto something there. I think without the home court advantage, matchups are going to be everything in this scenario. So that is something that would be interesting to look out for. The NBA Draft Lottery has been rescheduled for August 25th. The NBA Draft will be on October 15th, and free agency will now begin on October 18th. October is going to be crazy. The NBA lottery order will be based off the standings as of March 11th, so games in Orlando will not impact the lottery order. Now, Sam, I think one thing we haven't touched on is what is the negative in all this? Do you see any negatives? The negative I see for the Jazz, you touched on a little bit, no home court advantage. I think the Jazz have one of the best home court advantages in the NBA. They're not going to have that in this scenario, especially in the playoffs down in Orlando, so I think that hurts the Jazz.
And I think one of the negatives throughout the rest of the league, what about all of these teams that aren't, the other teams, the 8 teams that aren't going to Orlando, right? They're going to be going almost 9 months before they play a game. Obviously, there's conversations about them putting together some sort of, almost like a summer league, some sort of play where they can scrimmage and get some action. And then for the teams that are in the playoffs, how short is the gap going to be between when they just finished the playoffs to when they're starting up a new season? It's going to be interesting to see those finalized dates as to when the next season begins.
Definitely a new NBA world we're about to enter into.
Kidding.